Okay, so what is anthropology? Anthropology is the study of humans. Okay, and if you break down the word, anthropos is the Greek word for human. All right, so but what does it really mean to be human? How do you study that? And that anthropology is a very complex social science that looks at a variety of different phenomena that entail being human. So, if you think about looking at humans holistically, you have to consider the past, like where historically humans and Homo sapiens come from. You have to take a look at different social and cultural forces that have influenced the way that we interact with each other. And it really boils down to the notion of culture. So, understanding culture then requires us to think about why we do the things we do, why we believe in certain things. It challenges us to consider other different factors in our development. Maybe that is environmental, psychological, social, and what does it mean to survive? How do strategies for survival influence the way that we develop habits? And then, we'll get into different topics that are epiphenomenal, right? And features of culture like religion or politics, art, things like that come out of the need to survive, and how humans work with each other or against each other in that process. So anthropology is, like I said, a social science that has four broad fields that we will look at in different ways throughout this quarter. So physical anthropology considers the anatomical features of humans, right? Where we came from anatomically and or biologically, and where we are currently. This is particularly relevant when you consider like pandemics, right? And reactions that bodies have based on interactions with others or maybe other species. Archaeology is the field that looks at humans in terms of their remains. So, looking at artifacts and trying to decode through those artifacts different ways that humans have survived and or interacted. Linguistic anthropology is the field of anthropology that I am most aligned with, and that looks at the role of language in cultural interactions, whether that is different languages, where languages came from, linguistic ideologies, things like that. Cultural anthropology is the broader field of social anthropology that looks at cultural interactions and different features of culture that have emerged through those interactions. And so cultural anthropology spans a variety of different areas. And for me, so my degrees are in cultural anthropology, but I do research within linguistic anthropology. So for me, it's hard to look at any cultural feature of anthro without taking into consideration language. But we'll get into examples where language might not be the more prominent feature that comes about. So physical anthropology is the subdiscipline that spans topics like evolution, right? Where human beings came from, what our ancestors and even predecessors before Homo sapiens, where they came from. Um, Physical anthropologists might also, focus on non-human primates, right? And so what can we learn about Homo sapiens, right? Human primates by looking at non-human primates, monkeys or apes, or behaviors and tendencies that they might have, and how are we connected, evolutionarily. Physical anthropologists also look at issues of biology, right? How do bodies and adapt culturally and biologically to different environments and different pressures. And that might also include looking at medical anthropological issues. What is the role of disease within a population? How do we combat disease, or issues like that? Archaeology, as I was discussing earlier, looks at humans in terms of past remains and artifacts, and trying to understand behaviors through those artifacts that have been left behind. And actually in Europe, and in the UK specifically, archaeology is seen as a separate social science, apart from the other subdisciplines of anthropology. But in American anthropology, it's still one of the subdisciplines, one of the fields. Now, a lot of people associate archaeology with very ancient communities and cultures, but I have colleagues who have worked with, let's say, immigration contexts and remains that have been left by immigrants who have crossed the border through the desert, and trying to understand current immigration patterns through the artifacts that have been left in the desert. So that's a case where you're still trying to understand more about populations that are still living, but you're looking at remains that have been left behind. So linguistic anthropology is, like I said, my main area of expertise, and specifically I look at education systems and the role of language within education, and how language programs impact immigrant and refugee communities, or students from non-dominant language backgrounds, and communities that are dependent upon our education system. But you can look at other things like the development of languages and spread of language, or our ideas about language, and what constitutes power, and perspectives of linguistic superiority and things like that. And again, we'll spend a week talking about issues regarding language. So cultural anthropology usually has folks who focus on specific areas like religion, or education, or politics, kinship. But essentially, the role of the anthropologist isn't to analyze a group in so much as it is like our goal to understand what it means to be a member of a specific group. And so if you're looking at belief systems, religion, right, you want to try to understand to the best of your ability, what does it mean to believe in whatever belief system a group has, and what does that do to the community as a whole, and how do other things develop, political system ideologies or education systems. And so you don't study people, you learn from them, and you want to try to understand what it's like to be a member of that community from their perspective. And there are a variety of ways that anthropologists conduct research to do this, and a variety of data collection methods, which are outlined in the chapter. And so you you want to do as much as possible and collect as many data as possible and different types of data to try to really get that insider perspective from a group, and a member of a specific group. So just from a broad perspective, the American Anthropological Association is the largest anthropology association in the United States, probably in the world, and the website's listed up here, and I hope that you have some time to go and explore it. But it's an association that hosts various meetings throughout the year, but every year there's a main conference that we go to and present research and watch presentations from other anthropologists on their research and give feedback. But being a member of the American Anthropological Association gives you access to the most current topics that are being researched and discussed. Helps you network, and especially if you're interested in graduate school, it will give you an idea of who's doing research in your area of interest. So I encourage you to explore that website. Some of the subsections within the American Anthropological Association that I'm involved with are like the Council on Anthropology and Education. We're a fairly large subsection. I'm also involved with the Society for Linguistic Anthropology, and all folks in those groups are all they all concentrate on, for example, education or issues surrounding language. But there are a variety of different groups and sections that you can be involved with. And again, if you click on these links, it'll take you there, and you can explore those different types of associations. So anthropology is a broad social science that strives to understand humans and what it is and what it means to be human. And those four fields that anthropology has are used to approach those questions from different perspectives: biological, historical, linguistic, and so on. And I hope that you have some time to explore the AAA website and learn more about anthropology. It has a broad, a broad way of looking at life and at different groups. And if you're interested in majoring in anthropology, I recommend that you contact me or one of your other anthropology professors and talk about different schools that offer that major and what you can do with that for job opportunities in the future. Okay?